We start this half hour with news further afield. 5 people have been killed as tensions boiled over during Ghana's tightly contested elections. Monday's presidential and parliamentary polls saw President Nana Akufo-Addo claim re-election with 51% of the vote. Ghana's police service has recorded over 60 incidents of election violence since the beginning of the week. Independent observers this week congratulated the country for conducting largely peaceful polls. However, the opposition has rejected the results and is considering challenging them in court. And for more on that, we're joined now by the online editor at Star FM in Ghana, Kwame Danso Achiopong. Kwame, good evening and thank you very much for your time tonight on the newsfeed late night. 76% turnout at the polls, so that means 13 million ballots were cast out of the 17 million that were expected. Was everything generally at the polls as it was supposed to have occurred? Were there reports of intimidation? Were there reports of vote rigging? I mean, did everything happen to book?
Well, up until a few hours for polls to close, the reports that the media had picked on the grounds and what we had observed was that everything was going according to the books. The EC, the Electoral Commission, as we say here in Ghana, had fully prepared for it. There were controversies as to whether they were able to pull it off, because a lot of them were new officials that had just been appointed. But generally, they pulled it off, except for a few incidents of violence and reports of impasse between police officers or military officers and then some opposition elements. You do recall, you just mentioned that 5 people have been shot dead or were shot dead during the polls, and those were isolated instances. But generally, the polls were calm. Electoral materials were taken to polling centers on time, and there weren't many or even like widespread cases of violence and intimidation. Everything went on well, except a few instances where, because of some misunderstanding between opposition members and security officials, there were instances of shooting and sadly deaths that were recorded.
Now, President Akufo-Addo previously met with the contender for the NDC, and it was always expected to be a very tight race. And certainly these results, 51.59% of the vote, does not indicate pretty much a landslide victory, but quite a tight race.
Well, it has been an extremely tight race to the extent that even many of key members of government who had accepted and jubilated over victory are still very cautious of the kind of jubilation and the expression of victory that they say or speak about because of the nature of the race. In fact, even though the opposition, the NDC or the National Democratic Congress, appear to be challenged, and indeed they have openly said that they do not accept the results because their pink sheets, as we say, or the document on which details of elections or results are recorded on suggests that the results do not reflect what the Electoral Commission announced. It has generally been a very close fight. Going into the elections, the government or the New Patriotic Party, the ruling party, expected a wide margin, but it did not appear to be so, for many reasons that we are yet to speak to. But yeah, like you said, the results have been extremely close. The NDC, the opposition party led by John Dramani Mahama, the former president of Ghana, has said that they do not agree with the results, and so they will challenge the results. They have, however, not indicated how they intend to challenge the results. For instance, they have not mentioned if they are going to court or they are going to resort to any other means, except that they say that they do not accept the results, and that they will prove it by the details of the records that they have from the polling centers.
Yeah. Are they merely politicking, so to speak, or do they have valid grounds to dispute these results?
Well, they have not shown to us details of the records that they have, except that they have said that from the parliamentary results so far, Ghana has often had instances where political parties that win the presidency automatically or end up winning majority in parliament by, say, 20, 30 or 15 seats. In this particular instance, we do have a novelty, a situation that appears peculiar to these elections. per records that have been certified by the Electoral Commission that was released today, out of the 275 parliamentary seats in Ghana, the ruling party that won the election has confirmed for them 137 seats. The opposition party has confirmed for them 136 seats, with one seat outstanding, one more result outstanding that's yet to be declared, and one independent candidate. So you notice that even for the confirmed results from the Electoral Commission, the ruling party has 137, the opposition has 136, and then two more. One is an independent candidate, and one is outstanding, which means that the seats have been almost evenly distributed among the political parties, so close to the extent that it has never been witnessed in our country. It has never been a situation where no party has more than 10 seats advantage in parliament, which makes decision-making and policy approval and stuff like that very, very difficult. The opposition, however, maintain that the one that's outstanding and yet to be declared, they believe that they won the seat, and they also believe that some of the seats that have been declared for the ruling party are seats that originally, if you go to the pink sheet, have been won by them, except they have not shown us details of it. They say they will do so, but they have not shown them. The ruling party, however, insists that every seat that has been declared for them are seats that they have fairly and strongly won, and so there are no qualms about it. We are yet to see how the challenge of the results, the challenge of the parliamentary seats will be. I should indicate also that the opposition party do not contest as much of the presidential results. Their contest has largely been with the parliamentary results, and so that has been it. We are yet to see if they will show us details of their challenge over the presidential results as well.
So I suppose the opposition would have been much more happier with a parliamentary win, even though they would have lost the presidential race.
Well, from indication as of Monday night, when polls closed and results counting and sorting started, it appears that the opposition party appears more content with supremacy in parliament, and so they have been very consistent. Even as of a few hours ago, their General Secretary, Johnson Esi addressed the media and also reiterated the fact that they have won parliament. They insist that they have won 140 parliamentary seats, and that they will show in the coming days the fact that they have details on the pink sheet, as we call it here in Ghana, the official document for which details of polling are recorded. They will show through the pink sheet that indeed their results show that they have won 140 seats, even though the Electoral Commission is saying that as of now, they do have 136 seats. And so they'll be showing to every Ghanaian in the times ahead. Let me mention also that the former president, John Dramani Mahama, who's opposition leader, the one who led them into this election, is set to address the media at 8 p.m. today, a few minutes from now. He said he will be speaking to details of this challenge that they have and their next step of action with regards to the presidential and parliamentary post.
Let me also then ask, Kwame, failure to accept these results, could this see Ghana deteriorating into some kind of unrest? We know 60,000 security personnel were already deployed at polling stations to maintain order.
You know, we have been here before. In 2012, when the current president lost by another slim margin to the former president, John Dramani Mahama, there was a similar incident, except that on that particular scenario, there was not so much confusion over who was majority or not in parliament. Now, this president, at the time, he was then opposition leader, lost the elections, had concerns over some of the results that were declared, and so decided to take the matter to the Supreme Court. And you recall that Ghana then was in Supreme Court for 8 good months under the 2012 leadership of John Dramani Mahama, the opposition leader now. And so this whole scenario that we're experiencing now, we have been here before. There were initial agitations over the results, and then the opposition party, there were a few march up in town, a few gatherings in town in specific areas in Accra, the capital, just like the opposition members appear to be doing now. But eventually that matter ended up in court. I do recognize that there have been a few opposition party supporters converging in some parts of the country. In Tamale, in the northern region, for instance, some supporters of the opposition party have been on the streets. Some have also called the results in favor of their candidates. And this evening, women organizers and women supporters of the opposition party converged at the Electoral Commission headquarters here in Accra. And so those pockets of gatherings have been there. But I do not imagine that those are wild or large enough to degenerate the Ghana's democracy into that kind of instability. At worst case scenario, this matter may end up in court. The NDC has not said so, but in the worst case scenario, if you are looking at the trajectory of our experiences, then it will be a court case if they decide to go that extent. I do not imagine it going down the line of violence.
When is President-elect Nana Akufo-Addo expected to be inaugurated?
It has been a 1 month experience. In Ghana, after elections, normally we vote on December 7th, and then on January 7th, the president is inaugurated. Last 4 years, it was the same experience. So if we are going by the same experiences that we have had since 1992, when the constitution came to being, in January 7th, this president, and the president-elect, should be sworn into office.
Yeah. So I gather that mean whatever challenge or accusations of fraud in the electoral process would have to be resolved then in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
The Supreme Court set out boundaries and rules for engagement when it comes to electoral challenges and the concerns over electoral results. They said 2 weeks, at most 2 weeks, every concern over election and challenges over results should be resolved. The judiciary has set that timeline for itself. And so depending on the time that the NDC or the opposition party decides to go to Supreme Court with their concerns, I imagine that within the next 2 weeks or 2 weeks after which they present the case to court, this matter should be addressed. Unlike the previous instance where we had 8 months long everyday hearing in court here in Ghana.
Kwame, I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming through tonight. That is the online editor of Star FM, Kwame Danso Achiampong, out for us there in Ghana following the announcement of those long-awaited results of the Ghanaian election.